All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of What's What BR. We have a very special guest with us today. We've got Darnell Waites, Mayor of City of Baker. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. It's we got good weather, got a little bit of rain today, but I like the cooler that it brought in. The humidity fell, the temperature fell, so I'm enjoying that.
Yeah,
So,
it is very cool, and we just want it to rain and keep moving. Don't
yeah,
stop. Yeah,
give us a drop, just move it and kind of push it right over.
that's it.
So,
We can live with that.
so tell me things in Baker, as the mayor, things are pretty good up there, I hear. So
We're
you got a
going
lot of good things.
yeah, dealing with the pandemic, just like the rest of the state, rest of the country, dealing with the pandemic, just trying to keep our people safe and continue to do business and trying to keep the workforce safe, and just move forward. Adapt to what's going on and continue to live, but be cautious about what's going on, and that's what we're doing. We're focused on that, and then focus on our plans.
Absolutely. Well, tell me, not a lot of, maybe a lot of people know, I didn't know, to be honest with you, but as I said before when I was going through some notes, hey, for everybody, thank you for your service, but 20 years of active duty, service.
Yeah,
In,
27 years active duty service, 4 combat tours. We've been to I was Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Somalia, a couple of little short tours in Iraq. We've been all over the place. It was something that started in my grandfather's house, really. Every male in our family has did some service in the military. I am an Army brat too, so I just wanted to do 2 years, and 2 years turned into 27 years, and a couple of marriages and some kids later. That's what happened.
wow,
True story.
that's amazing. Well, again, thank you for your service, and that's a little bit more than the two. That's more than the four, or
Yeah,
the people that re-up for four. You went in for two, and quarter of a century later came out, right?
and yeah, best thing that ever happened to me. I wouldn't change anything else. That was the best thing. It gave me structure. It gave me vision. It was a lot. I think that every young male, every young female needs to at least do 2 years. It will definitely change your life.
That's there's a speech that went viral. I forget who actually did it. It was one of the commanding officers was talking about how the premise of the speech was make your bed every morning. I'm
Right.
sure you've probably seen it where he talks about it's something simple to do. You accomplish the first task of the day. It gives you confidence to go after and tackle the next one. And
That's
so
right. That's right. And it helps me that training, and it's a sense of loyalty. It's different because they do teach you loyalty, and loyalty is a big deal in our field. When we're together, and I have a lot of friends that we don't look at the race thing because we've done so much together. Because when we're together, we're together. We're Americans, and I like that. It's only when we come back sometimes that things get that things get in the way. But we're always going to be who we are. We represent a long line of veterans going back hundreds of years, and that's a fraternity that I'm proud to be a part of.
that's awesome. Somebody was telling me the story, and forgive me for your military, so you might have heard it and might know the more accurate version. But the way that it was described to me is, that it was referencing some of the different branches do it, but the story I'd heard was through the Navy SEALs that they have their obstacle course. That they'll run and gun, and the guys try to run through and make it. But then they have another course, and I forget the name of it now, but the course is designed on purpose to not be able to do it yourself.
That's right.
Like it's a wall that you can't, scale, and it weeds out some of these guys that are, the number one football player, the guy, the biggest, the strongest, who just thinks he doesn't need anybody. And they try to do it themselves, and the teams try to run through it. But it's this course that forces people to realize that, hey, we don't have to do it I don't have to do this myself. I just have to, we as a team have to get through it, and they learn that skill through that obstacle course. And I thought that was interesting when somebody told me that.
Over and over again, together everyone achieves more. And so that's the way we're trained. And so those things are instilled so much that you never forget them. You just never
That's
forget them. I guess I would think that my family would think that sometimes they're still in the military because that's all we're talking about. Always playing team, always looking out for your team member. That's the most important thing, and that's the philosophy here in Baker. Let's work together. We don't have to always agree, but let's work together for a common goal, and that's the way it is.
We had, you'd probably appreciate this. Garrett Graves was on the show not too long ago, and I thought it was funny. He was talking about how, you got, 10 initiatives. You go, to try to get those done, and you might get, 4 or 5 of them done, but then your constituents and people in the community look back and go, you didn't get it done.
That's
And
right.
it's like, I got half of what we set out to accomplish done. That's a win that, these days we all have to work together, so
You do.
you,
Now
you can't.
that gentleman is a great gentleman. We've done a lot of work with him, and we between me and him, we've crossed those lines. We've crossed those lines and worked together. He's done a lot for North Baton Rouge and Baker, and just one of those type of people that when you talk about people in America, great Americans, he's just one of those guys.
He is. He's a good guy. He was great, to talk with, and he made some time while they're in session to come talk with us. So tell me, from a 2-year plan of military that changes into 27, where does mayor, like, were you on the plane back, and going, what, I got an idea. I'm gonna go, mayor sounds good. I like the ring of it,
Yeah, well, the deal is that when I retired, I wanted to be this big time salesperson and make $1 million. But 18 months after retiring, prostate cancer came into play. The stage 2 headed stage 3. Just changed my life, and I started hanging out at the high school where my son was going. I thought I could make a difference over there. Nobody knew that I was going through treatment or anything like that. Ended up being, PTO, substitute teaching, coaching basketball, and I met a lot of kids. I found my calling with the young men, the kids that nobody would pay attention to, the kids that nobody wanted in their classroom. I made a connection with that. The mayor at that particular time was doing that was Harold Rito, the former mayor. He was a veteran. I did some work with him through hurricanes and stuff like that, and he called me over a couple of years back to be his administrative officer, and I learned what was going on. I learned how this works, government and everything, and it was just a pull from God to say, look, why don't you do this? I ran from it because I've been serving people my whole life, and I just wanted to have a real retirement. I didn't really want to do that, but it was laid out for me, and we did it. We ran. We beat, the people that we beat, they were credible. They had been living here for 40, 50 years. I'm not from Louisiana. I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. I married in Louisiana. I met a woman, ate some food, and never looked back. I fell in love with her, never looked back. And I've been here ever since. And it was destiny for me. And the minute I raised my hand, I could see the vision, and we've been running with that vision ever since.
It's funny, as you said that, when I asked the question, I was thinking that from military to mayor was such a huge leap. And I guess, it is a big leap, but one of the things that rung out what you said was, is to serve. You had already been serving for 27 years. It's now you're just serving in another capacity, and that's different from the guy who's maybe been in business, for 25 years.
Right.
He's serving his community. He's doing, but it's a different level of service, I think. And so that's funny how my mind went from one question and kind of thinking things were completely separate to where just the way you brought it and tied it together is like, hey, it's a natural fit. I served for 27 years, and this just is another way for me to continue to do that and draw on those experiences where you learned from the best.
What's interesting is in the way you said that, and that's very interesting. A lot of people never pick that up. Is that being in the military and fighting, willing to give your life for those freedoms that we talk about, the freedoms that me and you have now, being able to sit down and talk about things that we want to talk about. When you get to this this capacity where I am now as the mayor locally, you see, is it all worth it? My point is that what we're dying for, what those young men and women die for every day, is it all worth it when you get to this level? Is that freedom worth it? Are we using it the way that we're supposed to be using it? And sometimes I'm a little upset about it because people don't understand the sacrifices that has been made for us to be able to do the things that we do at this level. The things that we can do, because when you go other places, you don't have these opportunities. And so the sacrifices being made for this, I always push it forward. So every day, I try to do the best I can as the mayor to serve the people in regard to the people who are still serving me today, who still giving their lives so we can have these freedoms while we argue over these little small things. And so I honor them by doing the best I can right here on the front lines back at home to make sure that I just serve these people the best I can. And they deserve the best because those young men and women are giving their lives for us every single day. So we could do this.
Yeah. Without that, you're not able to do what you do. You're not able to do, the projects that impact the community. And a lot of people, I think, I don't know if I can draw this together without a whiteboard, but it's that individual service member of what they're doing, allows you to do what you're doing, which that if you connect that next dot, which might be, a project I wanted to talk with you a little bit about, things happen with the zoo, but it's like that's connected.
Right.
It's not, distant. This is not one of those, which one of these things is, not like the other, or how is this not connected? You've got to have those people in the front line. You've got to have that willingness to serve. You've got to have somebody that's going to turn around and go, I'm going to do the best that I can. I'm going to be the best mayor that I can, because I'm not going to disrespect the sacrifice that you're making or potentially making for me to do this. In turn, lets me make decisions inside the community that in turn maybe inspire some other people to step up and say, I'm going to go be that guy again. And the cycle continues. But if it breaks down anywhere, the fabric breaks down. You've got a problem.
That's right. And the fabric breaks down. And that's why this country is the country that it is because of that, because of those commitments at all levels throughout America. And we never should forget that. That the sacrifices that are made through all the levels, with all the problems that we have, with race and everything else that we have problems with, the fabric is still the same, that we are created equal and we should be treated equal, but we fight and die equal. So that's my philosophy on it. I can't change that now. From those 27 years and the men and women that I've served with, and I saw their commitment, so we could be here today just to have a discussion about whether or not we want that water line on Main Street or we want it on Plank Road, is because of those people and that commitment that's going on right now.
Absolutely. And I find it, not to turn it, into, the big political and get into all the conversations, but I think I just find it interesting. If we look back, through history, when, World War II, country, we banded together. It was like, I don't care what your business or line of business is or does. We need X, Y, Z, and you're going to figure out how to do it. And we've done some of that where you've seen some of these out, companies doing, I heard one time there was a company that was making vodka that started making hand sanitizer. But I don't feel that we've connected and really rallied around each other the way that we should have, or the way that, our grandparents did, and our, in the previous generation, to where instead of looking around and saying, hey, how do we get through this together? It's more of like, well, what are you doing? This is what I'm doing. And it's like, no, why does that matter? This is the time that we all need each other, that we all should band together, and help. And
it's leadership too now. It's leadership, and it's leadership. Mm-hmm. You have to have leadership is everything. Somebody has to be in charge and somebody has to follow. And the person that's in charge has to understand that what they do is for all and not just for a few. And no matter what you've been through and what you've gone through in your life, when you are a leader, you are a leader, and you have to do that, and that's at all levels. And you have to make sure that you can move that mountain and be able to rally people together, and that's what it's all about. And I think, the greatest leaders. I mean, during World War II, Roosevelt was a great leader. I mean, he just wasn't the leader of the United States. I mean, he brought the coalitions together. The generals he had was those kind of leaders, and they put everything else behind them to come together to be able to do what we needed to do.
It's funny you mentioned Roosevelt. I don't know if they got a chance for you to actually see when we originally put this show together, we talked about it being it was originally, I was calling it a fireside chat. And I pulled the history from, if you know the story, in 1933 and 1934, Roosevelt would do these fireside chat radio addresses to where when people didn't know what was going on, that it was more of a calming effect and it allowed people to know, what's going on. So that's kind of where the show started, from.
Excellent.
That was
Excellent.
the concept. And we were going to call it fireside chats. And then everybody looked at me like, you're crazy. Nobody's going to know what it is. I'm like, well, we'll just tell them.
Right.
So,
Right. Right. We'll tell.
but that's the history. So, well, tell me this, I don't have the great segue, but there's some big things going on. You've got the zoo up there. I think most people know, most people have been, but most people may not know, there's some renovation, planning. There's some things coming up. Fill me in.
Well, they're in phase one right now. The fight for the zoo, as we call it, it wasn't really a fight, but we'll call it a fight to keep the zoo in North Baton Rouge was really important to all the mayors in this area right here. The people wanted it here. But for Baker, that sits right next to the park, the zoo is just one part of about 4 or 5 phases of a destination park. And we continually talked about that. And that was another thing you talked about where people came together. You talking about elected officials that came together, you'd be surprised. We had elected officials, we had everybody, white, black, came together because that coalition wanted the zoo there. But for Baker, it's a big deal. It was a big deal for me. I saw it. I saw the vision. I saw where we could create jobs where it could be a $3 to $4 million impact on revenues coming in as people came into the zoo. My travels to Orlando, to Disney World, where I saw, and I'm a history guy, where I went back and I looked at Orlando before Walt Disney went there. It was just a little dusty town in Florida. And Disney World turned it into something where you can be 50 miles away from Disney World in the state of Florida and still see Mickey Mouse signs are everywhere, and it changed everything. It changed the airport. It changed everything. And so North Baton Rouge has always been known. It's been the place where you put the dumps and you put the garbage places and everything else that just really wasn't nice for a long, long time. And this park, this zoo, is going to change the way we do business up here. It's going to change our culture with the 3 cities that we have in this area. And it's going to be another entity that East Baton Rouge Parish can use and say that this is what we have here. If you want to go to New Orleans, you go to New Orleans and you have fun there. But if you want to come to North Baton Rouge, you can come here. There's a park here. And we have some other things going on here, conference center that we're working on here. But there's a park here. You bring your kids here and you can enjoy East Baton Rouge Parish in the northern part of the parish. That's what this was about. This was about long-term goals and not just changing Baker, but creating wealth and creating jobs and changing the culture in North Baton Rouge. And people like Shauna Banks has been talking about that ever since I've known her, and she's got us all on that now, where we believe that North Baton Rouge is going to be the place to go. And that park and that zoo is going to be the first, and it's going to be the start of energizing this area.
It's a lot of work. It's not
going
an
to be
easy.
a lot of work. Yeah, and phase one, they're already doing phase one now. Phase one, I think, is $3 million, about $3 to $4 million, probably more than that they're putting into it, and so it's going to be over a 10-year period. And so imagine this, imagine that park and everything that's going to be there to support that park, and then you think about the 3 cities who are just totally different, where you have the rural area over in Central. You have Baker that is we're so inclusive. We're probably the most inclusive city around here. We got a little bit of everything going on. And then we have Zachary, which is, if you want to live in $300,000-$400,000 homes in that area there, you can go do that. But it's all together, and we're all working together. And that's that's exciting to think that even after we're gone from office, this place can continue to grow. And that's how huge it is.
And I think what people don't realize, as they look at these different, areas, Zachary, Central, Baker, Baton Rouge, North Baton, you're 20 minutes from anything is what I tell people. At the end of the day, I've got, friends, I've got family that live in Dallas. that if they're going to get, like, they're both in, I've got, they're both in Dallas. They both have a Dallas address, but it's an hour and a half,
That's right.
to get, just from one side to the other.
That's right.
And we sit here and people make some of these arguments and go, well, this needs to go here. This doesn't need to go. It's like, why are we doing this?
That's right.
It's 20 minutes away,
That's right. That's
so
right.
we're all going to benefit, you're going to get a guy who's going to come work at the zoo, that he might live in, Ascension Parish, because it's not a big deal for him to make a commitment, of a commute of 25 minutes to get, there.
And one of the things that's on our master plan that me and Becky are working on right now, economic development guru, is that we would, we had this idea about a park and ride. And and they say it's not going to work. You're not going to be able to get it done, but we got it done. We bought the land. We partnered with CATS, with the CRPC, East Baton Rouge Parish, and we're going to build a park and ride with mixed use that's going to be able, the buses come in, people park their cars because the airport is there. We got all this traffic coming out of Mississippi, coming from north, way north, coming in every single day. There's 1 million cars coming down Plank Road headed into Baton Rouge. But why can't you park your cars here, get on mass transit, and go to all these different locations in downtown Baton Rouge, get a lot of cars off the road, have the traffic situation. But then after the sun goes down, we'll have restaurants there and mixed use there where we can also have a good time. With the millennials, they like to be outside. So that's part of the plan that's going on there. So we're simultaneously working on destination points in this area. And Baker, because it sits right in the beginning as we come into the 3 cities, we're able to do that. I'm able to plan that because I'm right there, right off the interstate, and we can bring that traffic to Baker and North Baton Rouge.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you one thing. I got a big F-250 that I drive, and I don't like parking downtown.
That's right.
It doesn't work for me, so I can see where that stuff can work out. So where does that tie? One of the other things, I'd gotten a little bit of information on this, kind of from a resiliency plan. Does some of that dove together? Does some of it, it's like, do we flow right there?
We flow with that resiliency plan. What we did is we know we needed to reduce the flooding in a lot of areas of Baker, and that resiliency plan that we had with the HMGP grant, $7 million grant that we're working on to reduce flooding throughout the city. We could never say that we're going to stop the flooding, but after 2016 flood, we learned a lot. And we learned that we can reduce it, we can make it better, that we can function. Like on rainy days now, I'm out in the rain. We are out in the rain when it rains hard because we want to know how the flow of water is going. And we are working together with East Baton Rouge Parish because we get the water from north, from Zachary, and we send it into Baton Rouge. And so we don't want to put our water on them unless the water can flow eventually out. And that's what the flood did for us. So resiliency is a big deal. We're working with LSU, a lot of different people, and they're teaching us how to get smart to be able to do that. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important for the growth of infrastructure. It's important for the growth of building other subdivisions, not building too many subdivisions. We want to make sure that the water can continue to flow out. And then they're teaching us how to use the water for for fun, where you can use it for fun. You can make these parks where people can go fishing and they can do things around and surround yourself with it. All that is a part of the master plan. And that's what we're working on daily to bring it together. The more things that we can have that's family oriented in this area here, the more things that we want. And so the park, the transit, and the conference center with the hotels on Plank Road for the millennials is a big deal for us. It is an economic development district by legislation. And so we're building that district up, bringing that board together so we can just create opportunities. But those millennials need somewhere to go. We hear the governor talking about keeping people here after they graduate, after they go to college. And we're doing our part to be able to keep people in the area. A lot of people don't want to live in the big city. They want to live in the small city. And so we want them to either choose our city or the 2 cities around us, but North Baton Rouge to be the one that we say, I want to, if I want to be in Baton Rouge, I want to live in North Baton Rouge. And that's what
Hmm.
we're doing here. And it's all part of a big plan, a major plan.
And I know growing up, we had some friends that I grew up on the other side of Baton Rouge, but if what people don't always realize is if you're working downtown Baton Rouge, you're faster. Coming, it's faster from Baker, St. Francisville, Zachary. So it's faster. You're always against the traffic, so you don't have. You hear people say, all the time, like I'm fed up with this traffic. I got to move. I'm done with it. It's like you can just flip that around and go the other way. You don't have to give up everything that you like. You can go 20 minutes the other direction, pick you up a place to stay, and just go the opposite of traffic, and you'll never complain about it again. So,
Because and I know Brendan, you've talked to a lot of people. A lot of the traffic is in Baton Rouge. Those are people just passing through. And for the last 8 years, I've been mentored by the former mayor of Baker, which is Pete Heine. He's 91 years old now. He was a councilman. He did 2 terms, and he talked about when he ran for mayor president. He talked about the loop, how we needed the loop, and they didn't want the loop at that particular time. But now he says that, he's a genius now because we need the loop. Because a lot of the traffic that comes through here is traffic that's going through. It's good for business. Now, without a doubt, I tell you, I guarantee the business owners don't care about the traffic on 10 because everybody's going to get off and they're going to make a lot of money there. But that traffic is something else, and it's just people they're just going east to west. And that's what's happening. They're going back and forth. And a lot of the everyday people, we just go to work and come back. It's not a lot of us out there, but we get caught in the middle of that traffic.
I liked it. You can see the traffic load. I remember somebody told me that was interesting. You see the traffic load drops when school's out. Like
Right.
you can feel it when school's not out. And somebody always say, well, look, we just need to make it simple. We need to stop all these, sophomore, juniors, and seniors from driving. They just need to take a bus. We're just not going to let them drive to school, and we'll solve the traffic problem.
That's it. That'll help the insurance rates go down too.
Yeah, and then I don't have to. I don't have to play dodgeball going down the road with them.
Yeah, so. That's it. But we continue to work with our businesses to help them to understand what we're doing, and we're doing a lot with just a look. My economic development person is my communications person. She's my lookout person, and we do that. We wear a lot of hats in Baker. We keep government small, but we run government like we got 1,000 people. And so that means that the communication has to be clear. I have to be able to let them know what the vision is and let the people know what the vision is and get them to buy into that. And that's the difference between Baker 20 years ago and Baker now is that we want to change the culture. We want people to be proud of where they're from, to know the history, even though the history is tainted with a lot of different things. It is what it is. We are who we are. And what we have is to look forward and continue to be great. And that's the philosophy that we have. Change that culture, be proud of where you're from, make sure that you rep that red and black all the time and people know that I'm from Baker. And that's what we've been doing. So we have the brand that we put out. The marketing is huge. We're always on social media. They always have me talking, but I'm always just not there to be talking, but to talking to build it, to let people understand that we are here. Do not look past us because we're not going anywhere.
That's awesome. I was going to kind of round us around the end, with the show, What's What VR, we always say, what do you want people to know and what can we do to help? And I think you answered the what do you want people to know. I think that was it right there.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, we're real. And just keep in mind that we're real and we're not going to go anywhere, but we want you to know people, and this is a joke that we have, people come through about our cameras. They say, well, you got those speed traps going on there. You shouldn't have that there. Well, if you just drove the speed limit, you would never know the cameras were there. So that would be the deal right there.
I've never been caught in Baker on a speed camera, but I don't think I've ever made it through Vidalia without getting
Oh, yes. Oh, Lord, yes.
I don't know anybody from there. I may not have a friend there anymore, but I don't think I've gone through there without getting stopped. I don't think they even needed a camera.
Interesting.
Well, look, what can we, with that, what is it, what can we do to help? Obviously spread the word, what was it, if we could wave a wand what would it be?
Well, we'll spread the word and let everybody know that we're working together in this part of the parents, and that we're supporting. We're just supporting the people here. And then when the park is ready, when the zoo is done, come visit. Come visit Baker. Come visit that. Spend some time up here, and we'll show you what living in small cities look like. We'll show you what's being safe is all about. Just come check us out.
And I will say this: I am 99% sure I'm right. But the zoo's open,
The
right?
zoo is open. The zoo is open.
Zoo's open and doing really well. It's a great place to stretch out, Span. It's, with everybody not knowing, I just wanted to throw that in there. I know some of the people over there, Robin's done a great job over there. Phil's done a great job, but they're open. Get out. The weather's dropped the temperature. Go to Baker, go to the zoo. You can do it this weekend.
Yeah, you can do it this weekend.
So.
Yeah. And I appreciate you guys for reaching out to us. I mean, it's a great opportunity to talk to you guys. Your reputation precedes you, and we just appreciate getting the opportunity to talk to you.
Well, thank you, sir. Well, you have a great day, and we'll talk again.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.